time, what alternatives, additional sworn officers do you foresee for purposes of cost savings?
I may have answered that a little bit in the interim when you were looking for the questions, but I think within the department, we've got a lot of officers that are behind desks that can actually be on the streets right now, which would be no additional cost to the taxpayers because they're there. I know what their job duties are, I know what their job requirements are, and I know that it can be done in a different way. We can put more boots on the streets very easily without having to burden the taxpayers of asking for more money to be included in the budget for additional officers at this time.
Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, the present sheriff has been committed to the concept of having every officer having a bachelor's degree. Whether or not that's required by state law when you become a sworn officer. Would you anticipate changing the requirements for officers in Duval County?
To answer the first question, there is no state requirement for a bachelor's degree.
Right, correct.
To be there, that's just been imposed by former Sheriff Nat Glover and continued through the current sheriff's tenure. Based on the pay grade for officers coming in out of college or even off the streets, I don't think that the pay lines up with the educational requirements. I think that a person can come in with a 2-year degree, an associate's degree, and still function in the same way because that associate's degree and that salary, they mesh better together than a bachelor's degree requirement here, and the salary here. I don't see where a bachelor's degree gives a person any type of edge coming in as a police officer, whereas an associate's degree will not. We have 3 police officers, former police officers in federal prison now with a bachelor's degree.
So then maybe they need a graduate degree.
Maybe they're working on it now.
They can't, yeah.
I'm sorry.
You got any questions, Sam?
Yeah, he's got the best ones.
What about the manpower workforce? Is it adequate? Can it be reduced? Do you need more?
You never want to reduce your manpower when it comes to public safety, particularly when you have officers on the street. You don't want to reduce that number. You always want to maintain or increase. It can be increased without levying any taxpayers or asking for more money in the budget. It can be increased by getting those officers that are inside the department right now who are behind the desk, and I would do that as your sheriff. I would take a broom and go through every unit and see where there's excess officers there, and I know where they are within the organization after being there for 24 years, and we can take those officers and put them back on the street. And then of course you'll have your attrition that takes care of everything else, your retirees, your terminations, and those that may be terminally ill. We'll have the academy classes continuously going with that, but as it stands right now, to burden the taxpayers right now as your new sheriff coming in and say, I need 140 additional officers, 50 additional officers at taxpayers' expense, I don't see where that'd be an issue in the first year or two.
What level of education do you believe someone is a minimum requirement to go to your?
Well, as I said, I think a person coming in with a 2-year degree has the knowledge and skills as well as the abilities.
At your minimum level.
I'm sorry?
At your minimum level.
That would be my minimum level, a 2-year degree. But now, a person wanting to get into supervising, going up the ladder of success, I would probably have a bachelor's degree.
You talked a little bit about the table of organization. I heard you say you consider it top heavy.
Yes, sir.
You reduce that workforce by
Well,
retitle them. How do you do that with your unions?
Well, the union doesn't have any say-so in that part,
Okay.
because those are appointed officials that I'm talking about.
How easy it is to fill a class for rookies?
It's very easy.
Very
I mean, there's a waiting list. I served as a recruiter within the department for a couple of years.
In other words, there's plenty of people out there think a heck of a good job.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll go back to the motor. You don't have any particular evidence. It's just about the motor pool. It's just you're willing to study. You're not familiar with any studies to compare the motor
I'm not
pool.
familiar with any studies that I can compare at this time, but and in my statement I said I'm for privatization if it's going to save us money.
No evidence at this point. You just have to look at it.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
That's essentially it. I just wanted to establish the fact that people waiting to get in line to get police.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's always a waiting list.
I got a question or two.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
If you are elected as sheriff, you would have to sign off on a class 3 weapons permit for anybody trying to buy a machine gun or a short barrel rifle or a silencer or a suppressor. What's your position on that? What criteria would you use to determine who is going to get that signature from you and who is not?
That's a good question. I agree with the Constitution that everyone has a right to bear arms. But when it comes to these assault rifles and weapons that you're talking about here, I don't have a problem with signing off on it based on the person that's bringing it to me, their background, what they intend to do with it. Of course, they'll tell you what they intend to do with it. That may change later on if they decide to, commit a crime. You can't control that. But a person wanting, say, a weapons collector, a legitimate weapons collector, wanting to purchase one of these weapons, I wouldn't have a problem signing off on that.
So so you say, so would your policy would be to sign it as a default unless you found something in a background check, or just blanket no unless they had a legitimate reason? What's the burden of
No,
law
I would
enforcement
I would
applying?
definitely, of course, go through the procedures with the background check, checking everything out that I can about that individual. If they're a collector, I would want to know the reason why they want that weapon. That would be a big criteria of mine. Why do you want this weapon? Why should I tell me why I should sign off on this weapon? And I'll listen to that reason. And
What would not be a good reason?
Cause I wanna.
What if they
I
said,
just-
"Okay, I just want it. I don't want to wear earmuffs for a suppressor."
well,
Just
if that
because I
person,
want it.
sure, if that person has a good background, there's no red flags flying up in there, I don't see a problem signing off on it.
Okay.
What's your views on the civilian review board?
I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I'm open for dialogue. I'm open to dialogue to listen to the concerns of the people that want it and listen to the concerns of the people that don't want it.
Now, it's been discussed in the dialogue, it's had quite a bit, but you haven't gone into.
Well, the dialogue hadn't been really discussed. It's been ranted. I don't think anyone has sat down and really discussed it. It's just you got a group over here and a group over there, group for, a group against, and then you've got the head law enforcement officer said, but I don't even want to entertain the thought. So it really hadn't been discussed. It's been ranted and raved about.
I need to do a follow-up. I'm active in Shadco, and I've seen you at a couple of Shadco meetings too. The current sheriff's position at Shadco is that he would not even consider a review board outside the sheriff's department.
Mhm.
And he would, there's no doubt or misunderstanding his position in that.
Right.
Are you saying that your position is at least somewhat more up for consideration?
Yeah, what I said was the current sheriff, I said the same thing you just said, I just said it short. I'm saying that I'm not just going to tune everybody out and say I'm not going to give it any consideration like the current sheriff has said. I'm saying I'm open for dialogue to hear what they're talking about, hear why they want it, give me the reasons that it'll be good for our city, good for the agency, and I have no position at this time on either way.
Give us your view about taking the police car.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Police car home.
Take home police cars.
Take home
What
police
is your
cars?
view about
My
that?
views on that? Well, I probably have a biased view on that because I had one for 24 years that I took home. So I don't know if you want my answer. It's called the Indianapolis plan. And what it's designed to do is to create an omnipresence illusion. to give the citizens of the city an illusion that there are police officers everywhere, whether they're on duty or off duty. And you really can't tell, even if an officer is in civilian clothes and he's driving a marked car, whether he's on duty or off duty, because they do perform some functions outside the uniform in their marked police vehicles. My view, as far as the take-home cars concerned, I think it's a great asset to the city to have these cars out and about, because not only are the officers driving them, but they are required to respond if they are in that car off duty, they hear something going on, or they see something happen like a crash or a disabled vehicle on the side of the road, or there's a robbery in progress or something like that, they're required to respond. So what you're getting at no additional cost other than fuel and the maintenance on the vehicle is that you're getting law enforcement services at a premium. Whereas if he's driving his personal vehicle, which, you know, that's fine too. If he's driving his personal vehicle, he's not required to listen to a radio and not required to respond. But if he's in that automobile, that police vehicle off duty, he's required to respond. And I think it's good.
Do they now leave them in the county line, so out of county residents?
Well, it depends on how far they live past it. If they live 10 miles past the county line, they have to leave it at the line. But they will allow them to take it out of the county up to 10 miles outside of the county.
I don't think I have any.
It's now 11:58 and
10:58.
Don't scare me.
We're wanting to see how you react to that.
Can I get one question real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What if we had in Florida, I know some people that are trying to get an initiative for open carry with permit holders. How do you feel about that? Like in Wyoming, New Hampshire, whatever.
I don't like that.
You don't like that?
I don't
Okay.
like it open like that. I just don't. Actually, if
Provocation.
to be fair with that answer, our police officers in civilian clothes, they're always, if they go outside of the building, they're supposed to be covered. You don't see it. You see the badge, you see the gun, you see the handcuffs, uncovered. But according to policy and procedure, when they come out of that building, they're supposed to be covered. I never liked the idea of uncovered.
Okay.